We are about to see something that could change things up a lot.
Blake Lively is in full meltdown mode after the judge finally decided to openly question her entire lawsuit. Her legal case is unraveling fast, as Daily Mail reporter James Vatusa flips and exposes Leslie Sloan's shady smear campaign against Justin Baldoni.
There's evidence that Leslie Sloan started a smear campaign against Justin Baldoni.
Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds is busy flaunting himself on Time covers while Blake hides in the shadows.
She's dead quiet. Someone that's not quiet is her husband, Ryan Reynolds.
Blake Lively's legal disaster just spectacularly blew up in her face. Honestly, it's turning into the most ridiculous courtroom meltdown I've seen in years. This woman really thought she could stroll into the legal system, flash her Hollywood smile, wave around some paperwork, and steamroll everyone in her path. But clearly, Magistrate Judge Steve Kim wasn't buying the act. Finally, a judge with functioning brain cells.
And this reporter from the Daily Mail that now there's big rumors that he's going to withdraw his sworn statements.
Blake's latest genius move? She filed a motion to compel Wayfair and other parties to hand over documents like she was running the entire courtroom herself. Except, here's the thing, the judge absolutely humiliated her by denying it. And not just denying it, he basically mocked her in writing. You could practically hear the sarcasm dripping off the ruling. He called her demands unripe, which is just a polite, legal way of saying sit down, Blake. This isn't your Instagram story, it's a courtroom. What's even funnier is the sheer desperation. Her team demanded those documents within 10 days, like she was ordering Prime shipping off Amazon. But the joke's on her, because the respondents had already agreed to produce everything by July 1st, 2025. So her big, dramatic court stunt only made her look impatient, sloppy, and frankly clueless, and here's where Blake's messiness really starts shining. She actually filed the same motion in California and New York at the same time. Imagine being so panicked and disorganized that you start throwing legal filings around like confetti, hoping one of them sticks. That it's beyond embarrassing. But of course, the California judge wasn't playing along either. He flat out refused to transfer her case back to New York, basically telling her she doesn't even understand basic jurisdiction rules. Blake's entire legal team just exposed how messy, contradictory, and downright sloppy this whole circus really is. But it gets even better, because Judge Kim's order didn't just deny her motion, it dragged her hard. He flat out called out how Blake exaggerated delays, twisted the facts, and tried to manipulate deadlines to gain an advantage. Classic Blake, twisting reality, spinning her own little fairy tale, and hoping the courts will buy it the way the tabloids do. Spoiler alert, they're not amused, but trust me, this legal fiasco doesn't stop there. You know what's even messier than Blake's ridiculous filings? The so-called evidence she's using to prop up her case. This is where it goes from funny to genuinely pathetic. Her entire argument is hanging by a thread, because it depends on documents she got from Joan Works. But, shocking to no one who's followed Blake's antics, these documents are missing the most basic thing any court cares about, metadata. If you don't live in a courtroom, here's the quick version. Metadata is the digital fingerprint that shows when a document was created, when it was edited, who handled it, and where it came from. Basically, it's how you prove you didn't just cook it up last week. But Blake? She marched into court waving around files with zero verifiable metadata. You literally can't make this up. Missing metadata means the documents can't be authenticated. The court has no way of knowing whether this stuff is real, or if Blake and her team knocked out some Word docs in the kitchen after a bottle of Pinot Grigio, and let's be clear, it raises massive suspicions of evidence tampering, and Wayfair's legal team is all over it, ready to tear this apart piece by piece. Here's where Blake's story really starts to crumble. Because if those missing metadata fields ever show that she got these documents before the official subpoena in October 2024, she's cooked. That would mean she illegally acquired evidence, the same Blake Lively who parades around like she's too dignified for any of this, suddenly looking like the queen of backdoor deals and shady tactics. Of course, Blake has an excuse locked and loaded. She always does. This time, she's blaming Joan's Works, claiming they handed over incomplete, unverified data. Classic Blake, never her fault, always somebody else's screw-up, but the judges aren't buying her deflections anymore, and honestly, neither is Anyone else, you might be wondering how someone this messy, this disorganized, and this transparently reckless thinks she's going to come out of this looking like the innocent victim. Well, that's where her next brainchild comes in, Van Zen Incorporated. Yep, Blake's little shell company that's now under fire for staging one of the sloppiest cover-ups Hollywood has ever seen. Let me break it down for you. Van Zen Incorporated allegedly filed a completely fake lawsuit, not to win anything, but purely to get access to people's phones and private data. The second they got what they were after, poof, the case vanished. They dropped the lawsuit like it never existed. Imagine being so brazen that you treat the court system like a TikTok challenge. But Van Zen's stunt didn't end there. They were ordered to hand over documents revealing the real shareholders of the company by June 24, 2025. And what did they do? Nothing. Radio silence. They blew past the deadline completely, fueling even more suspicion that this was all a sloppy smokescreen. Even more speculation is swirling that Van Zen isn't anything but a Reynolds Lively puppet company designed to hide their dirty work behind a glossy legal facade. And I know what you're thinking, it can't possibly get worse. But oh, it absolutely does. Jennifer Abel's legal team is now convinced Van Zen was set up as a front to run the smear campaign against Wayfair and to sidestep proper discovery rules. In other words, Blake allegedly created this fake company so she could skirt around the legal process and pull the strings from the shadows. To their credit, Wayfair's lawyers aren't letting any of this slide. They're demanding shareholder lists, organizational charts, and internal communications, all the receipts that could prove Blake has been orchestrating this entire fiasco behind closed doors. But, no surprise here, Blake's team is stonewalling. They're refusing to hand over any of it, which only makes the whole thing look even more suspicious. And here's the real smoking gun. Those missing Van Zen documents could prove Blake was coordinating with Jones Works and PR firms to run a full-blown character assassination campaign. So not only does it look like she's been manipulating evidence, dodging subpoenas, and filing fake lawsuits, but now there might be a paper trail linking it all directly back to her. At this point, her legal strategy is so sloppy it's almost comedic. She's out here trying to play legal chess, but she's stuck in checkers mode, tripping over her own contradictions and leaving a trail of disasters for everyone to watch. The best part? The judges aren't buying it. The courts aren't dazzled by her Hollywood persona. They see the games, the manipulation, the desperate attempts to twist facts, and they're calling her out on every single one. That Blake's carefully crafted image, the relatable, charming girl next door with the perfect life and perfect marriage, is cracking under the weight of this epic legal meltdown. The shell companies, the missing metadata, the fake lawsuits, the courtroom stunts, it's all adding up to one giant, humiliating disaster. And honestly, watching her unravel like this is better than Netflix. Her little PR fairy tale is collapsing into pure courtroom comedy. So let's talk about how one Daily Mail reporter, James Vatusa, just casually lit a match and might burn Blake's entire smear campaign to the ground. You can't even make this stuff up. Hollywood writers couldn't script a Messier downfall. If they tried, James Vatusa, remember that name, because this guy is now front and center in the most embarrassing plot twist of Blake's meltdown. He was the Daily Mail reporter who originally signed a sworn statement trying to downplay Leslie Sloan's role in the whole disaster. You know, Leslie Sloan, Blake's ride-or-die PR fixer who's basically turned lying into a full-time job. But here's the problem for Blake. Vatusa's story is flipping harder than her credibility, and here's where it gets really juicy. Vatusa fired the lawyers the Daily Mail gave him. The same in-house attorneys who were probably whispering in his ear to protect the narrative. Instead, he went full panic mode and hired a criminal defense attorney. A criminal defense attorney. Yes, you heard that right, a criminal defense lawyer. You don't call in the big guns like that unless you're staring down serious legal heat. Think perjury, obstruction of justice, the whole 9 yards. You have to ask yourself, why would a supposedly innocent journalist who claimed he was just reporting suddenly need a criminal defense lawyer? Because clearly, he's realized this isn't just messy. It's potentially criminal, and honestly, watching Blake's entire camp scramble to spin this is more entertaining than anything Netflix has dropped this year. But wait, because the receipts only get better. Text messages have surfaced showing Vatusa outright calling Leslie Sloan a liar. Let that sink in. Publicly, he signed a sworn statement insisting she never fed him dirt about Justin Baldoni. But privately, He was literally texting people saying Sloan was a liar. The contradictions are so obvious, even Blake's legal team has probably given up trying to untangle this disaster. You just know her PR machine is sweating bullets right now, desperately trying to clean this up while pretending they're still in control.
And it's crazy. Apparently, the Daily Mail reporter has been granted whistleblower status. So I'm just going to explain again quickly what happened here. So James signs a sworn statement to the judge saying that it was all a misunderstanding, the communication that he had with Leslie Sloan.
Of course, while Blake's entire PR empire is going up in flames, Justin Baldoni isn't just sitting around playing the victim. No, he's coming in swinging, ready to fight this legal circus with everything he's got. His $400 million defamation suit may have been dismissed, but he's far from done. His lawyer, Brian Friedman, has already hinted there's more coming, and Blake should be shaking in those overpriced designer heels. Even legal experts are calling foul on how this fiasco was handled. Judge Liz, a retired judge turned no BS YouTube analyst, straight up slammed the dismissal as unconstitutional under California law. She basically accused the court of bending over backward to protect false accusers like Blake while silencing the real victims. And honestly, when even retired judges on YouTube are roasting you, you know it's bad. Baldoni's legal team isn't backing down either. They're calling out how the courts are essentially gagging victims of false accusations, giving Blake free rein to smear, manipulate, and play the victim without consequences. And here's the twist: even though appeals are notoriously hard to win, with only an 8 to 12% success rate, Baldoni is going for it. Because at this point, exposing Blake's smear tactics is bigger than any courtroom victory. It's about dragging the truth into the spotlight, and Brian Friedman isn't some rookie litigator fumbling around for headlines. This is the same lawyer who went after the New York Times for $250 million. He knows exactly how to weaponize litigation to peel back the PR spin and show the world the shady underbelly of Blake Lively's empire. And you better believe, if this appeal goes through, it's going to unearth everything: texts, emails, metadata, all the receipts Blake has been scrambling to hide. But let's get to the best part of this entire train wreck: Blake herself. Because when it finally came time to back up her nonsense with real answers, she ghosted. Blake Lively, the queen of the perfect public image, skipped her own deposition scheduled just 2 days ago. She didn't show up. She vanished, just like that sham lawsuit her puppet company Van Zen Incorporated dropped the second things got too hot.